I'm not sure I know what to talk about, but I've had this one thought on my mind for quite some time now. I actually attempted to make a video about a week ago, but I ended up having a blurred out footage while I was speaking this, or while I was sharing it. Creating content or storytelling on the internet is one of the hardest things that I think exists now. A lot of people do it so well, make it seem so easy, and honestly, it makes it seem like the barrier to entry is very low, or maybe non-existent. But coming on the internet, sharing your thoughts in a concise way for people to be able to engage with, or just putting yourself out there and feeling like the right people aren't listening or hearing what you have to say, or even just feeling the unspoken pressure of wanting to deliver the best possible content there is to strangers who do not know you. And when I decided to begin this journey of documenting my life and sharing who I am and my thoughts and my perspective on the world with strangers, people I don't know, I did not think about the psychological effects that it has putting yourself out there and not either in the beginning, not having people engage with it, or not having enough people to listen to it, and B, when you do have enough people, having that many people engage with what you're saying and who you are. And in light of that, I came to a deep realization. I had to sit with myself and really ask myself tough questions about why it is I'm doing this, and what is the end goal, and what do I want to see come out of this. And my answers and decision led me to make the decision to not care about metrics anymore. Everything in our society at the moment is tagged to some sort of metric. How much money you have, how many friends you have, how many followers you have. Usually that equates to value, especially in the eyes of people who want to make money off you, or who are deciding to invest their money in what you are creating. And I really had to come to terms with what my goal is here on the internet. I think that's something that a lot of people don't have or don't think about when they do decide to put themselves on the internet. People seem to have these really fancy lives, and it is possible and it is real. And I get to get there one day. But I think people see the highlight of sharing yourself with the world, and a lot of people also go into it without clarifying what your objectives and your vision and your goals are. Now, I because of what I understand my goals to be, I really do not like the idea of having strategy for the type of content you make. I think that if people resonate with it and they find you, they will continue to resonate with it. But there are people who do that, and there are people who have strategies and have a specific goal for why they are on the internet, and that's amazing, that's great. And seeing the benefit, they're seeing the consequence of their action in a positive way. But I really had to understand that I am not measuring my success and my goals the same way that that person might be doing it. And so for a while, I was stuck in the loop of understanding that metrics, numbers, indicated that my content was good enough, or that I am sharing the right things, or sharing the right things in the right way. Because I was putting all my heart into it. I intended for my YouTube channel to be, or just my content in general on the internet, I intended for it to be an expression of myself, of my thoughts, of what I view, how I view life, and the journey I'm on and the lessons I'm learning. Hoping that it resonates with other people who are on similar journeys and can understand that they're not the only ones going through these topics or trying to unpack these topics of life, or that they share a similar situation as I do, or that there's someone just out there who's going through life and they can have an example of how I don't know, they can resonate with it. And so I just decided that tagging my self-worth or tagging my creative worth to numbers is just not sustainable for me. It requires me to show up here at a pace and consistency that at the moment in my life is just not, it's not attainable. It's not conducive. It doesn't make any sense for my goals and the journey I am in life. And taking those numbers away from that would help me feel better or make this journey a little more easier. And it'll allow me enjoy doing it, right? I think I just made a personal decision that and so here's the thing, in deciding not to care about metrics anymore, it has sort of affected the way I think about my content. Instead of thinking about it in the lens of how do I grab attention, how do I retain attention, what niche. Now obviously, because of what how I'm trying to show up here, there is a specific group of people that I'm speaking to, but not all the time. And so it allows me sort of take a step back and really detach from any sort of expectation that I have for myself and for the content that I'm making. And also this is expectation that I have adopted, that no one has actually told me, sat me down like, Issy, I expect you to make XYZ type of content. But obviously for someone who is taking it seriously, has built a strategy, has a specific niche that they are targeting and want to see some sort of monetary or some sort of quantitative metric around the content they make, that is great for them, and they can do it more consistently, and they can go through the strategic ways and use the strategic tools to retain attention, all that good stuff. Trust me, I've been there, been through that rabbit hole. But it just allowed me sort of step back and relinquish that sort of control that I had over my creativity. I found that I was reaching these roadblocks of not drowning out my own expression, my inner voice, and I like to call it the God voice. I would get intuition to share a story or share a thought, and the gap between idea and execution was significantly longer because I started getting stuck in the loopholes of, what does this sound like? Do I have the right hook? Is my hook 30 seconds or less? What are the keywords I'm using to attract the right eyes, the right people? And that's all great. I'm not trying to diminish that advice. And maybe at some point when I do have the capacity to really take this on, that would be beautiful advice that I would be able to take and be able to implement. But I'm realizing that not all size, especially in this space, not one size fits all. And that I can decide that I do not want to, I can decide whatever I want about whatever I make. And I'm saying this and I'm expressing this because for so long I've been under that umbrella of, I need to do this the right way. I need to get the eyes. I need to get a following as quick as possible. And it just doesn't feel natural for me. I'm not called to do that. I'm called to create as my heart wants to. And so in doing that, I've also been forcing myself to just pick up a camera whenever I want to, without earrings or without makeup or without actually necessarily putting myself together. And doesn't mean that I want to come out and show off as a a slob or whatever, but I want to be able to shorten the gap between idea and execution. And by doing that, it means just picking up my phone and just recording and just yapping and talking. And the whole intention of this in the first place was for it to be a visual journal, for me to be able to share my thoughts and sometimes unpack things that I've been thinking about. And so this is my, well, while this is an artificial attempt at doing that, because the first video I did talking about the same topic was so blurry. It was like the camera wasn't focused, so I was like, I don't want to use that, because even I don't even want to rewatch it to be able to edit and put it together. So I decided that I was going to do this. So yeah, that's really my rant of the day. Is I'm deciding to not care about the metrics. I'm deciding to follow my intuitive expression and hone in on my creativity. Again, the reason why I started this, I graduated from my MBA and I transitioned into my corporate life or my work, and I just had this strong desire to tap into my creativity. And it's not even something new. I know this is, in hindsight, when I think about it, this is an urge that I've had going way back. And when I mean way back, I'm talking 10, 11. I would consider myself very artistic, and artistic in the way that not necessarily painting or drawing, but acting and dancing. I was in the choir. I can't claim that I'm a good singer, but I loved singing. I had this strong draw to photography. I wish I stayed put. I wish I just kept doing it, kept exploring. But somewhere down the line, there are things and people and situations that convince you that this is not worth pursuing. And so you just fall off. I was teaching myself, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna take classes. I'm not gonna continue teaching myself. It just fell off. And I remember parking my camera. I even took a photography class in college, now that I think of it. But I just parked it because I was like, okay, well, you can't be chasing these sort of creative dreams. You need to go find a consulting job and go figure your stuff out. And so it's wanting to be creative is a drawing that I've had for so long. And I think at the ripe age, I'm turning 27 soon. I don't know, by the time I post it, I don't know if I've already turned 27 or if I'm about to. But I'm turning 27 and I was like, enough is enough. The reason why I continue to remain unhappy, it's not because of the amount of money in my bank account. It's not because I don't have an X amount of certain position or an X amount of followers. It's because I am not satisfying that desire to create in whatever way that is. And I'm exploring things. Like, I wouldn't say I'm some guru at anything, but I'm exploring photography again. I have this old DSLR cameras. I know no one uses those type. It's now mirrorless cameras, but I don't. Anyway, if anyone wants to get me a present, you know where to find me. But I've been using this 12-year-old camera that I've had. And I was like, wait, I have this. I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna try taking photographs again. I'm gonna start getting more into storytelling and cinematography and just allowing myself gravitate to things that spark a little bit of curiosity or a little bit of just desire and passion within me. I don't know if it's the first child syndrome, or just feeling like I had so many responsibilities so young, like in my young adult years. I moved out at 18. So I just felt like, okay, I need to put aside childish ways and become an adult. And it's just so sad because being an adult is being able to satisfy those desires that you sort of had as a child. You now have the money and the time and the freedom to explore that. But instead I gravitated into doing the adult thing, which is having a serious job in consulting. At least I didn't go too far thinking I could be a doctor. I could, but I didn't want to. But yeah, I've come to the realization that following those creative instincts is what will keep me happy. And I'm not saying that my happiness depends on my creativity. I'm saying that there's this pang that, I don't know if anyone ever has it, but there's my phone keeps going off. Jeez, calm down. There's this pang that I constantly would have, and I think it was communicating that there was this there's this looming doom, that there was this deep feeling that I was not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what I desire, what I'm drawn to. Now in the other spaces that I was sort of trying to find myself in, I'm thriving. Like, I've been thriving. I've been doing well. People see like I've been thriving in that space, but it hasn't been fulfilling. At least not to the extent that I know is possible. Getting stronger in my faith made it easier to realize that sometimes that like pull, that draw that you have to doing something is most likely God telling you. I don't want to go as far as saying like this is your purpose, but maybe drawing you towards the things that he intended for you to be doing. Like, the fact that you have that desire in the first place means, at least I believe, that it means that it's coming from that source. So yeah, I can't run away from being creative anymore. And so that is why I started this YouTube channel. And that is why I'm intending to just make metrics a consequence and not a driving factor. I don't know if that makes any sense. I know that the closer I get to, the more I tap into my intuition and create from a place of passion and devotion and of expression, the more people are going to resonate with it. And yeah, the more numbers I'll get. It may not be 4 months, it may not be a year, but I think that would be okay. I would be okay with that, because then I'm exploring other things. I'm exploring other skills. Maybe I'm a photographer and I start freelancing, then I wouldn't care about the numbers. You know what I mean? But either way, that is a decision that I have made, and I wanted to share it. I'm finding that I'm able to stay consistent towards my goals and towards exploring my creativity because I feel devoted to it. I don't feel like, when I think of numbers and I think of staying consistent to gain those numbers, I think of finding ways to be more disciplined. And to be honest with you, with everything that's on my plate, I don't think there's room for discipline for every single aspect of my life. There are things that are gonna fall off, and there are things that are gonna be harder to do. And I think what would make it easier, what would make me feel, what would make this whole journey easier is finding devotion to the things that I love. And if I can find devotion to creating more content and storytelling and exploring photography, it wouldn't be a case of finding discipline or being disciplined. It would be a case of I cannot literally function without exploring this any further. And that's where I want to be. That's where I think I'm finding myself. I feel like I've talked so much now, 20 minutes. Those are my thoughts.